Hi everyone, welcome on board, welcome to CATKing, and today I am in conversation with Moinack here, who's from FMS. What was your CAT percentile, Moinack?
Hello. So firstly, thank you for having me here at the CATKing office in Andheri. And when I took CAT 18, my percentile was 99.71.
Wow, that's lovely. So 99.71. And how about your verbal percentile?
My verbal percentile was 99.95 that year. And LIDA was 99.73. It shaked out a little bit in quant with 94. Okay. Overall, it worked out well.
Lovely. But it's like the most dreaded sections for everybody is always quants and verbal, especially, and actually it's DILR and verbal. People do talk about quants being scary, but you mess up in DILR and verbal and you've done 99 percentile in both of them. Yeah. What was your approach? How did you start preparing for each section of CAT exam?
Right. So overall, ma'am, when we see CAT, we should see it as a flow altogether. You will be only able to do well in quant once you're confident that LRDI and verbal has gone well as a whole. Now, VARC is LRDI without the numbers. It's a game of logic, right? It's not a game of whose English is better. Have you been to an English medium school or a Hindi medium school? Or go to critical reasoning? Those are secondary things. Over here, all they're trying to test is your ability to grasp information in a limited amount of time and find the right inferences. So my approach was to start off with mocks right from the first week of April. Understand what are my weaknesses, what are my strengths. I should work on my strengths such that if a normal person needs 2 minutes, I should be able to solve it in 1.5 minutes. And identify which weak sections of mine I can convert into an area of strength, or I know that I need to leave that question as a whole.
Okay, that's lovely. So selecting the questions was the right key. And when you start preparing, typical engineers, and we have never done reading before in our life. So how do you make yourself used to reading and making sense of these topics which come like psychology based, or some are very science fiction, some are philosophy based? How do you get used to this type?
Right. So a good starting point would be to start reading your newspaper. I typically suggest the Financial Times, Economic Times, or the Hindu. It gets you in a habit of reading long passages. Okay. Now, as you mentioned, in terms of compartmentalization, when we say psychology, science, anthropology, etc., Al Delhi and Aeon are good places to get a grasp of these topics. But knowing those topics is not enough. You need to test yourself in an environment. Hence, a good time to start would be around March with the reading practice. Okay, although we're in April right now, even April is a good start point because CAT is some 6-7 months away.
Correct.
But you need to start with mocks from day one. The mentality that most people have that I will start mocks after I finish the syllabus. Trust me, you never finish the syllabus. You need to start from day one. So start reading, apply it in your mocks, do your analysis, come back for a second mock. By the time you're done with maybe 25-30 mocks, you will have a strategy in place for yourself.
Lovely. That's a very important advice. A lot of people always tend to start taking mocks somewhere in July, August, which is pretty late. So you suggest they should start as good as mid-April?
You have enough time to complete 40 mocks with analysis. Usually what I've seen people, they start maybe in September and they try to crunch 30 mocks in. You have practice of sitting through a mock, but you've never worked on your strategies.
Lovely. So you have been working very rigorously with the team and making on the mocks. What is the thought process that goes behind making the mocks or making those videos and the strategies which you recommend for 90 percentile, 95, 99 percentile? So why all of these things?
Right. So I'll start with the initiation of the process. That is the team. We have a fabulous team of IIM, FMS, XLRI, SP grads. We bring in expertise of each and every member in respective topics. So I have a set of 70 topics compartmentalized and I identify who's good in what. And then we come up with LOD1, LOD2 and LOD3 questions. Now why do we do that? CAT as an exam doesn't want you to fail. They want you to score.
Yeah.
So in between the paper, they do give easy questions. There will be some medium questions, there will be hard questions. Now, why do we have LOD 1, 2, 3? So that you can identify what is a particular type of question. Because you only have 30 seconds to take a split decision whether you want to solve the question or you want to leave it. Now, where is this thought process coming from? To ace the CAT, to get a 99 percentile, you barely need to get 50% marks. That means I only need to do easy questions.
Correct.
Right now. That's why we bring in the same philosophy in our mocks. We variate questions. We give easy sitters to you in between which you need to capitalize and score. We give you medium questions so that if you have to reach from a 95 to 99, you have to sit through that part. And tough questions, because scoring 99, in my opinion, people can do it, right? If I have to just take an example of my time, because I'm familiar with the figures, out of 300, 140 was 98. Correct. 150 was 99. My marks were 176, that was 99.71. But 99.9 was at 190. So you can see the difficulty increases. That's why you need those tough questions to come in to make you a CAT topper. And when it comes to variating the mocks, we give some easy ones in between so that you get a breather. Constantly purging you will lead to a burnout. We want you to be in the process, in the cycle. That's why we work very hard in identifying which duration you should get an easy mock, a tough mock, or a hard mock. And when it comes to the analysis, I focus on my methods, because the methods that we teach in our classroom programs, that is universal, right? That is to learn, absorb the concept. But here you're taking a test. Here you're trying to beat, I think out of 2 lakh, you're trying to beat 1,98,000 people, right? Only 2,000 people get the 99 percentile.
Correct.
So to be in that 2,000 people in a test-taking environment, how should you think? How should you variate your mind to come up with that method? That is what I actually focus on in my attempt video. And this year we are also coming up with a new approach of giving full mock solutions, so that we don't just show our method, we break down the process of how you can think like a topper, how you develop critical and analytical abilities.
Absolutely, that's very important, because especially like you mentioned the RCs, you have these a lot of inference based, critical reasoning kind of RCs, which you tend to make mistakes. So in that 5 minutes of that RC, how do you think? I mean, I can see your speed of reading RCs is so quick. I mean, you got a knack of it right now. So how can these guys also get used to that?
Right. So once we develop the reading habit, it is going, when we see CAT as a whole, the questions which are set is to understand if you have understood the inner meaning of what the author is trying to communicate.
Okay.
So in our classes and even through our mocks, we teach methods to identify in a 100-word paragraph, what are the key 20 words where the author is trying to communicate his point. Understanding that point makes you a fast RC solver.
Lovely. And the advantage is you start with the verbal section in the exam, so you're much fresh to read. And then how about this DILR section, because you get nowadays those complex questions which are a combination of DI and LR, and then again the battle, which ones to attempt and which ones to leave. So how do you decide that this question I will solve and this question I should let go?
Right. So first suggestion, ma'am, would definitely be familiarity. You need to be familiar with a variation of sets. Right? That only comes with solving mocks, solving sections. Second, your analysis part. When you see a particular mock, you have solved the question. Don't leave it under analysis thinking, oh, I got this one right. What if there was a faster method? What if solving via options was the way to go through it? That is the second kind of approach. But DILR in its crux is like a puzzle which has that one piece of information which fills in all the other blanks. So the ability to find that will help you in your complex DI based LR questions and LR based DI, which is useful for NMAT, SNAP and other papers. So I would suggest a good practice would be to solve Sudoku on a daily basis. Right?
Nice.
Because over there you're looking for that one number that gives you access to 9 other numbers in the same column or the row, right? So it's the same thing you have to do with CAT. Find that one condition. It's usually condition 5, 6, 7. It's never there in the beginning. They try to confuse you. They give you X, Y, Z. Then between they talk about M and L. And then maybe condition 8 is talking about point A. And that's when you realize, oh, here is A. From here I'll find my B, C, D, L and go up to Z. So that process takes time. And the fourth aspect of LRDI is the ability to note down data in a neat manner. And again, that is something we focus on mocks. In the attempt part, you'll see the fast way of doing it. In the normal full journey, you'll see the slower way of doing it. So understand the problem. And then you develop the method. Oh, if I made the table a 2-variable table, if I made it a 3-variable table, it would have been faster. So those aspects come into play to be a good LRDI player.
Lovely. So it's also very important how you write down your notes, the rough sheets.
Yes.
Don't keep just scribbling, make sense so that you can solve the entire set, because what you make sense out of the first data will help you in the next 4 questions as well. That's so lovely. So we've covered up the verbal and the DILR. How about the quants section?
Right. So personally, when I took CAT for the first time, I only scored 94 in quant, got a 99.71. But the next time I was able to pull up to 99.2 when I scored 99.89 percentile as a whole. So one thing I realized in quant is you need to be very good in arithmetic and algebra. Those are your go-to topics. You ace these two sections, you are the king. Okay, because you will be able to solve 60% of the questions. And good approach in quant, again like LRDI, would be to identify the easy questions, which is why round robin technique. So in CAT, we have a question paper mode where we are able to see all the questions in one row. Okay, so quickly just before the paper starts, write down 1 to 27 or 1 to 20, whatever the number of questions are, and in a quick glance, just write AR, AL, and identify your questions. Do those questions first, then come for the medium ones, then come for the tough ones. Some people try to take quant head on. What happens with that, especially with engineers, we think we are very good with quants. Hey man, I'm an electronics engineer, I've solved Fourier transform. What is this algebra for me? What happens that ego gets to us and we are stuck with one question for 10 minutes. And once we don't answer that question, we are gone. Okay?
True.
So it's very important to let go of ego. It's important to solve arithmetic algebra and adapt to a round robin technique of identifying easy questions.
That's very important, and especially all the engineers who are from IITs, NITs, VITs like Moinack. All of us have this ego issue, very, very common. So please let go of that. And for the non-engineers, like he said, arithmetic and algebra, identify your topics, do those easy questions. If I were to ask you, like let's say there are 22 questions in quants section, do you think there will be 10 to 12 which are easy to moderate and doable?
Absolutely. In fact, just from CATKing, one of our toppers, I think Kisley, if I'm not wrong, he scored 99 plus in quants being a non-engineer.
True.
And that happened just because of pure practice and just understanding the basic concept. Time, speed, distance doesn't require rocket science to solve. Right?
Yeah.
So I believe you will definitely find this 10 to 14 questions, which is very, very easy. That's around 42 to 45 marks, depending, 14-15 questions. And that's more than enough to ace the CAT.
Lovely. So that's really amazing. This is so great, Moinack. Thank you so much for sharing your insights about each and every exam section and the mock tests, how to approach that. And you guys, any advice to these people while taking mocks and watching your videos not to get intimidated?
Right. So guys, as ma'am said, for me it's been 5 years of taking mocks, so there is not a lot of surprises left, but trust me, the team does end up surprising me in 1 or 2 mocks, and kudos to them for that. And secondly, I would say please take the mock as a whole, do not get disheartened. I'll be honest, when I took my first mock back in 2017, I scored 10 marks out of 300, right? And 1 year down the line, I ended up scoring 176 and landed a seat at FMS. So that only happens with consistency and being persistent with your preparation. So start taking mocks from right now. Even if you have not covered topics, even in our classes, if you have not covered a particular topic, it's okay. The rationale of taking mocks from April is to develop the stamina, to have the mental ability to think with equal amount of concentration of the 2 hours duration. Trust me, when you take mocks, you might be performing at 100. When you go for CAT, you'll automatically be at 80. Your mind will be thinking, oh, these guys are my competitors. Or if you're in the afternoon slot or evening slot, oh, how is the morning slot? Things get in our mind. So you need to get yourself from 100 to 120 so that once we sacrifice that 20%, right, we are still at 96, which is better than being at 80 on DD.
Lovely. That's a really amazing piece of advice, guys. I think all of you need to keep in mind is don't wait for the last minute for mocks. And in every mock that you're going to see of CATKing, you're going to see Moinack's video where he talks about how to solve the entire paper in 2 hours of time. That's a 99 percentiler's approach. You'll also be able to see 2 videos of like how to target 90 percentile and 95 percentile. So what's the approach for that, Moinack, that you have?
Right. So for 90 percentile, if you see, maybe you need to, I'm sorry, I'm bad at the percentages, but from what I understand, let's say out of 100 for 90, you will need around 30. For 95, you will need around 42.
Yeah.
And 99 would get around 55.
Correct.
So we identified easy questions, which is enough to get the 90 or the 92 percentile. We go a little bit into the moderate section for a little bit, not completely, for the 95. We cover full easy, full moderate, and a little bit of the doable tough questions for the 99 to 99.5 region.
Lovely. So that's really great. So people who've not yet started taking your mock test, let's start. Start with smaller tests, maybe topic wise, sectionals, but get started and then reach out to giving the full length mock tests at the earliest. Alright, thank you so much guys for joining in. I hope you guys liked the video. Do drop in the comments what is your mock scores that you're getting right now, which mocks are you taking, and we shall take Moinack's help and give you guys more advice on your attempt strategy further ahead as well.